Taiwan was left alarmed after the US quietly paused parts of its weapons sales amid rising tensions with China. China's growing regional influence comes just as Washington freezes a major Taiwan arms package. Trump's negotiating chip remarks have fueled fears that Taiwan could be sidelined in US-China diplomacy. Trump praised America's military strength and Xi Jinping even as Washington delayed weapons support for Taiwan.
We have the greatest military. I just got back from China, President Xi. Good man. Good man.
The Taiwan arms pause has sparked concerns that the US may be softening its stance toward Beijing. Taiwan was caught off guard after the US quietly paused parts of its weapons sales to the island. US Acting Navy Secretary Hung Cao confirmed Washington had temporarily halted some foreign military sales. Cao revealed the move during a Senate Appropriations Defense Subcommittee hearing on May 21st. Taiwanese officials said they had received no prior notice about any changes to the arms agreements. The development triggered concern in Taipei, where US military support is seen as key to deterring China. Earlier, US President Donald Trump described Taiwan arms sales as a very good negotiating chip with China. Trump's remarks raised fresh doubts over Washington's long-standing commitment to arming Taiwan. Meanwhile, after the reported cancellation, Trump praised America's military power and hailed China following talks with Xi Jinping.
We want a strong military. How good is our military, right? Now, we're doing very well, by the way. Well, first of all, Venezuela was unbelievable, right? Now Iran, their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone, everything's gone, their leaders are gone. And if you read the fake news, you'd think they're doing just fine. They're not doing just fine. They want to settle so badly. We have the greatest military. I just got back from China, President Xi. Good man. Good man. And I'll get killed for saying that. They'll say, oh, he called President Xi a good man. Well, we had an amazing time, but even he had to say, your military is unbelievable. This is the head of China.
Beijing renewed its opposition to US arms sales to Taiwan after reports emerged of a temporary weapons pause by Washington. China also said its stance against US-Taiwan military cooperation remains clear and unwavering. The United States has formally paused a $14 billion arms sale to Taiwan, even as tensions with China continue to soar in the Taiwan Strait and beyond. The update was delivered by the US Navy's Acting Secretary, Hung Cao, during a Senate hearing on May 21st, putting the decision on the public record. Cao explained that the pause was intended to conserve munitions for America's ongoing war on Iran, arguing that US forces must be fully equipped for current operations. Hung Cao said, and I quote, "Right now, we're doing a pause in order to make sure we have the munitions we need for epic fury, which we have plenty. But we're just making sure we have everything. But then the foreign military sales will continue when the administration deems necessary." End quote. Cao also stated that the decision to move forward with the Taiwan sale would ultimately be made by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth and Secretary of State Marco Rubio. A senior analyst warned that the pause will likely exacerbate anxiety in Taiwan, where leaders already question how reliable US backing will be in a crisis. The same analyst argued it will make it harder for Taipei to ask its own legislature for additional defense budget in future, because lawmakers will point to stalled US deliveries. Meanwhile, Taiwanese Premier Cho Jung-tai told reporters that Taipei will continue to pursue arms purchases, insisting Taiwan has no choice but to keep strengthening its defenses. Trump confirmed that he discussed the proposed arms sale with Xi Jinping during their talks in Beijing, indicating that Taiwan featured directly in his negotiations with China's leader. After that meeting, Trump publicly stated that he may or may not approve the package, leaving the fate of the deal deliberately ambiguous. The US president was also expected to speak with his Taiwanese counterpart about the sale, a conversation that could shape Taipei's expectations and strategy. If it eventually goes ahead, the $14 billion weapons package would be the largest single arms transfer to Taiwan in US history. The US Congress approved the package back in January 2026, but under American law the sale still requires a final sign-off from the president to move forward. Previously, in December 2025, Trump had approved an $11 billion arms package for Taiwan, underscoring how dramatic a shift this latest pause appears to be. Trump's public hint that he might call Taiwan's President Lai now puts immediate pressure on Beijing's long-stated red line, barely a week after his supposed reset summit with Xi. On May 21st, China reiterated that it firmly opposes any form of official US contact with Taiwan's leadership, repeating a position that underpins its entire approach to the island. China's foreign ministry urged Washington to implement what it called the heads of state consensus reached in Beijing, implying that a Trump-like call would violate understandings from the summit. Officials called on the United States to handle the Taiwan issue with prudence and to show that caution through concrete actions, not just reassuring words. Beijing warned that any direct Trump-like conversation would cross a red line and could undo the limited progress made in de-escalating tensions at the recent leaders' meeting.
China firmly opposes the United States engaging in official exchanges with the Taiwan region of China and resolutely opposes U.S. arms sales to Taiwan. This position has always been consistent, clear, and unwavering. China urges the United States to honor the important consensus reached at the summit between the leaders of China and the United States, fulfill the commitments and undertakings it has made, handle the Taiwan issue with the utmost prudence, stop sending wrong signals to Taiwan independent separatist forces, and take concrete actions to uphold peace and stability across the Taiwan Strait and maintain the stable development of China-U.S. relations.
Experts say a direct Trump-alike call would cross a long-standing red line for Beijing, breaking through the informal barriers that have kept leader-to-leader contact off-limits since the 1970s. Professor Xin Qiong has warned that such a move could trigger serious turbulence in bilateral ties, or even a sharp escalation if Beijing feels its core interests have been challenged. He argued that a call would instantly undercut whatever positive momentum emerged from the recent Trump-Xi summit, making it harder to manage crises in other areas. Analysts have suggested that future meetings, including Xi's planned visit to the United States, could be overshadowed or even derailed by the fallout from any such call. Memories remain fresh of Trump's 2016 phone call with then-Taiwan leader Tsai Ing-wen while he was president-elect, which triggered strong protests from Beijing at the time. That earlier conversation broke decades of U.S. practice on Taiwan contacts and led to serious diplomatic protests, setting a precedent that still shapes Chinese sensitivities. Since 1979, Washington has recognized Beijing rather than Taipei, a policy that has left almost no room for direct leader-to-leader contact with Taiwan's presidents. According to reporting by Bloomberg, analysts now warn that North Korea may possess enough nuclear warheads and delivery options to saturate and potentially overwhelm U.S. missile defense systems, creating scenarios in which American interceptors and layered defenses could be strained beyond their design capacity. Intelligence estimates suggest Pyongyang currently holds roughly 50 nuclear warheads, and officials say that additional devices and fissile material are actively under development in order to expand and diversify that arsenal over the coming years. Bloomberg reports that if North Korea sustains its current production tempo of fissile material and warhead assembly, Kim's forces could feasibly approach or match the size of Israel's nuclear stockpile by around 2035, with significant implications for regional and global deterrence calculations. South Korean officials have warned that North Korea's industrial capacity and facilities could allow Pyongyang to build as many as 20 new nuclear weapons per year, a rate of expansion that would quickly change strategic balances on the peninsula and beyond. Projections based on current production trends indicate North Korea could, within the next decade, amass a nuclear arsenal that rivals the size of France's stockpile, raising questions about proliferation, deterrence, and the threshold for international responses. Satellite imagery and open-source reporting show Pyongyang is expanding and modernizing multiple facilities associated with the production of weapons-grade fissile material, increasing its ability to manufacture additional warheads at greater scale and pace. Beyond stockpile growth, North Korea is actively testing and refining new delivery technologies, ranging from long-range ballistic missiles to potentially mobile and submarine launch systems, that would make its nuclear weapons harder to detect, track, and defend against. If current expansion continues, analysts warn Kim's nuclear arsenal could soon surpass the inventories held by the United Kingdom, Israel, and Pakistan, altering regional threat perceptions and complicating traditional calculations of strategic parity. Chinese state and regional reports say Xi Jinping is reportedly preparing a visit to North Korea, his first trip there in 7 years, a diplomatic gesture that would carry heavy symbolic weight for Beijing, Pyongyang, and regional security planners. A South Korean media report indicates the Chinese president could arrive in Pyongyang as early as next week, a rapidly scheduled visit that would likely be intended to reset ties and send strategic signals across Northeast Asia. According to accounts from the Trump visit, Xi reportedly told the US president that Taiwan remains the single most sensitive and potentially explosive issue in Sino-US relations, underlining how easily the topic can escalate diplomatic tensions. Yet behind closed doors, some of Trump's advisors have reportedly expressed growing concern that the situation around Taiwan is deteriorating and could spark a crisis if deterrence and diplomacy fail to hold. Axios reported that U.S. officials, speaking privately, worry Beijing might attempt coercive or military action against Taiwan within the next 5 years, a timeline that has heightened urgency across defense and policy circles. As a result, many U.S. officials now describe Taiwan as confronting its most serious security threat in decades, a perception driven by Beijing's military modernization and shifting regional power dynamics.